Profit loss $7,300.
저건 내 거다. 정의롭지가 못해.
뭔 개소리야?
Science fiction is a wide-encompassing genre, ranging from animated adventures and superheroes flicks to space operas and horror-adjacent tales. It's defined as speculative, however, while many sci-fi stories draw on real-world science and actual, if unlikely, possibilities, sometimes elements from other genres sneak their way in.
We find out you have personalized license plates. You don't.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
It's like angels are smooching all over us.
Number 1. Dune, titled on screen as Dune, Part 1, is a 2021 American epic science fiction film. Dune was one of this year's most highly anticipated movies, and director Denis Villeneuve did not disappoint. This adaptation of Frank Herbert's classic 1965 sci-fi novel is not Hollywood's first attempt to bring the material to the screen, but it's certainly its best. Villeneuve takes the necessary time to establish the characters and settings, with longer-than-usual shots and an incredible attention to detail, making this film one of the year's best sci-fi films without contest. The fact that this movie is only the first part of the story, with the second installment already in development, only adds to the excitement. The set design for the film was done by production designer Patrice Vermette. Vermette stated that the set design for Dune would be guided by the need to ground the story into realistic settings to help the audience believe in the extraordinary elements. They sought to make the sets as realistic and immersive as possible, and used minimal set extension, and no green screens.
My son, you'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be. If anything happens.
Over 1,000 looks for Arrakis, Caladan, and GD Prime were designed by the team for the film. The costume design for the film was done by Jacqueline West and Bob Morgan.
We are House Atreides. There is no call. We do not answer.
Hey, you. Want some muscle?
I did?
No.
You need to face your fears.
Smile, Gurney.
I am smiling.
Villeneuve told West that he wanted the costumes to be grounded in history, and wanted them to avoid conventional futuristic views used in science fiction films, and put emphasis of giving a philosophical atmosphere to the film.
Get everything with guns off the ground! Go!
Extermination. They're taking my family off one by one.
Number 2. Space Sweepers is a 2021 South Korean space western film. Netflix loves to gamble, and the South Korean space opera Space Sweepers definitely feels like a risk on the streaming platform's part. It's a successful one. Space Sweepers is a highly entertaining romp that follows a ragtag team of scrap gatherers. In 2092, the wealthy have fled Earth, which is polluted beyond repair, to colonize Mars. As the rest of humanity struggles to survive, some have turned to space sweeping, which is just what it sounds like, cleaning up space debris, hoping to sell the junk to company factories for a profit. The production quality of Space Sweepers is incredible, and its heroic crew of misfits perfectly strikes the balance between humor and drama that fans expect of such sci-fi fare. The film criticizes capitalism. The process of the colonization of Mars in the film has been compared to billionaires prepping for an apocalypse. Avery Kaplan of Comics Beat noted that while capitalism may make the members of the Victory crew more likely to go for each other's throats, it can't completely eradicate their intrinsic morality, and pointed to Bub's arc as showcasing the barriers to trans healthcare that exist under capitalism. Campbell of Polygon notes that one of the film's most striking elements is its casual multiculturalism. Characters from presumably dissolved nations speak to each other in a mix of their native languages, while English mostly appears as the language of power and of the film's white antagonists.
뭐야 저거?
Number 3. Free Guy is a 2021 American action comedy film. Like some other films on this list, Free Guy is a hilarious movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, and yet delivers on bigger, more serious ideas like the potential of artificial intelligence. Granted, it is classic Ryan Reynolds fare, but if you enjoy that, you'll really enjoy Free Guy. It also happens to be one of the best films based on video games that Hollywood has made so far, and that's saying something. Ryan Reynolds plays Guy, an AI character in a game called Free City who becomes self-aware after gaining special sunglasses that only actual players are allowed to have. They let him see the game's UI, making him a player himself.
I'm a rule breaker. I'm a rattle.
Soon, Guy meets Millie, Jodie Comer, a player who's investigating the game to find out if her proprietary code was used in its programming. What she uncovers has even bigger stakes. The game's non-playable characters have developed sentience and built real lives and relationships in the game. And so, Millie must race against the clock to save their lives, or programming, as it were, from the greedy game developer Taika Waititi. The ethical questions around artificial intelligence's rights as living entities are part of a much bigger debate, but Free Guy still manages to scratch the surface of these issues in a funny and entertaining movie. Number 4. Titane is a 2021 body horror psychological drama film. The French film Titane marries sci-fi with body horror and tenderness in a transgressive and surprising movie that doesn't care about your pre-existing expectations. Directed by Julie Ducournau, the film won the Palme d'Or at this year's Cannes Film Festival, and is probably the weirdest, goriest film to do so. The film's main character, Alexia, has had a titanium plate affixed to her skull ever since she was a child, the result of a violent car accident. However, the tragedy changes her psychologically as well as physically. She develops psychopathic tendencies and becomes a murderer. Alexia feels a closer affinity to cars than to human beings, and makes a living dancing at car shows as an adult. Alexia gets pregnant after orgasming in a flame-adorned Cadillac, and her body starts leaking oil. The more tender, heartfelt moments come in the twist ending. Titane is one of those thought-provoking films that you must put your trust in completely to fully enjoy. Number 5. Eternals is a 2021 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics race of the same name. The latest entry in Marvel Studios' epic shared universe, Eternals, had big shoes to fill.
Human conflicts and the deviants are involved.
It received mixed reviews, but managed to establish a very complicated origin story for the entire known universe, as well as over 10 new characters. Introducing new heroes to an already packed roster is a challenge, but having them fit into the complex storylines that Marvel has told over the last decade or so is an even bigger one. At least Eternals isn't worried about killing off a few characters along the way, leaving us with 2 smaller teams to follow in future movies. As directed by Chloe Zhao, who won last year's Academy Award for Best Feature Film her drama Nomadland, Eternals lets the indie director's artistry shine through the big superhero fanfare. It's heavy with flashbacks and mythology and Easter eggs, but also features Marvel's most diverse cast yet. We are finally treated to the MCU's first major same-sex couple, as well as its first deaf hero. Eternals has faults but ultimately redeems itself, promising great potential for the MCU as Marvel Studios keeps expanding its universe. Number 6. The Suicide Squad is a 2021 American superhero film based on the DC Comics team Suicide Squad. A loose follow-up to 2016's Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad makes up for its title's lack of originality with a film packed with jokes, blood, and bright colors.
You're gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
I detonate the explosive device in the base of
Director
your skull.
James Gunn, known for his work on the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, manages to make The Suicide Squad his own without simply copying his Marvel work. Instead, Gunn goes back to his B-movie roots, delivering a superhero romp that is hilarious and very, very violent. The Suicide Squad improves on its predecessor in all aspects. It features an extensive ensemble cast with some supervillains we already know, as well as some new ones brought on for a new mission. Each character is more improbable and pathetic than the last. True to the film's title, not all of them make it out alive, but Gunn makes us care for almost every one of these twisted, evil characters, packing heartfelt sweetness among all the blood. Surprisingly, we mourn each gruesome demise.
Huh? Oh my god! We've got a freaking kaiju up in this!
We love the rain.
Number 7. Army of the Dead is a 2021 American post-apocalyptic zombie heist film. Zack Snyder delivers a solid zombie movie with Army of the Dead, a spiritual sequel to his 2004 movie, Dawn of the Dead. Set in Las Vegas, Army of the Dead plays out like a heist movie with a sci-fi twist. A convoy headed to Area 51 gets in an accident, letting loose a virus that infects Sin City. A little while later, a team of mercenaries is sent into the walled-off metropolis to steal a loot of $200 million from a casino before the city is nuked by the government, which has lost control of the zombie infestation.
What the?
Snyder goes all out with the monsters. The film features a shambling bachelorette party, an undead tiger, and even a zombie baby. Army of the Dead is all about absurdity and gore. Snyder has a lot of fun blowing up zombies for our viewing pleasure, and to great effect. Army of the Dead is mindless fun. Don't expect clever, interesting dialogue or thoughtful character backstories. Instead, let yourself be entertained by intense action sequences and great special effects.
What is this? That's crossing the line. It's a goddamn zombie tiger.
Number 8. Lapsis is a 2020 science fiction film. Sometimes, the scariest, most effective sci-fi is that which feels the closest to our reality. Lapsis makes that gamble. By having its main character, Ray, Dean Imperial, be part of a global Ponzi scheme to pay for medical treatment for his brother, Jamie, Babe Wise, it anchors the story to things we already experience every day, the late capitalist gig economy and America's individualistic, for-profit healthcare system. Lapsis is the feature film debut of director Noah Hutton, who also has a few documentaries under his belt. That experience is put to good use with Lapsis, which feels just as strange as real life can sometimes be. Ray works for CABLR, a giant communications corporation, laying quantum cables in remote areas that connect to ominous black cubes.
We finally have to stop and listen. A way to force them to stop.
Number 9. A Quiet Place Part 2 is a 2020 American post-apocalyptic horror film. A Quiet Place Part 2, the sequel to 2018's A Quiet Place, is a post-apocalyptic thriller that effectively marries the genres of science fiction and horror. While it isn't quite as immersive as the original, A Quiet Place Part 2 still delivers a solid sci-fi adventure that picks up right where the first one left off. A Quiet Place Part 2 focuses on the Abbott family's oldest child, deaf teenager Reagan, Millicent Simmons, as she decides to find a radio tower where she can broadcast the unusual sound made by her hearing aid. In the first movie, Reagan discovered that the noise-sensitive extraterrestrial monsters that threaten her world are vulnerable to the high frequency, and hopes to weaponize it by broadcasting it across the world. Battle-hardened survivor Emmett, Cillian Murphy, decides to help the family, and ends up an unwilling participant in Reagan's plan. Simmons and Murphy's chemistry as a surrogate father-daughter team is undeniable, and their relationship is what makes this movie truly shine.
Please, they're worth saving. There are people.
A Quiet Place Part 2 received mostly positive reviews from film critics. Screen Rant wrote that critics liked the film and praised its two-pronged story and the introduction of Cillian Murphy's character.
Another kind of people worth saving.
Number 10. Little Fish is a 2020 American science fiction romantic drama film. After the last 2 years, the premise of Little Fish will sound hauntingly familiar. A weird virus called neuroinflammatory affliction is spreading around the globe, targeting people's memories and making them forget details about their lives. Amid the storm the virus causes on a global scale, Little Fish focuses on a recently married couple, Emma, Olivia Cooke, and Jude, Jack O'Connell. Jude contracts the disease, and Emma struggles to keep their relationship afloat as he forgets more and more about her and their relationship.
There's no one but people like crazy.
They've been keeping NIA on this. It's everyone to remain calm is not a proven cure.
We'll be doing an oral cranial.
Memory is elusive, and anyone who's had someone close suffer from a disease like Alzheimer's can tell you that being forgotten by those you hold dear is heartbreaking. The timeliness of Little Fish is coincidental, but in the wake of COVID-19, it's nearly impossible not to relate to the character's plight. Little Fish is a simple yet effective parable that goes to the very essence of what science fiction is: speculative, human, and deeply emotional.
Keep having to rebuild the past.
Winter.